Alrighty, can everybody hear me okay? I hope so. Um, TikTok and Instagram. So I am live on both TikTok and Instagram. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I am trying to make sure everything is set up correctly. So pardon me for kind of being all over the place right now. I always try to get settled and situated about 15 minutes before the live starts, and for whatever reason it's just like never enough time. So hopefully everybody can hear me. So my name is AJ, and I am doing this live because I like to have conversations about cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer last year, breast cancer. And one of the things that has been helpful for me is kind of talking about my journey, talking with other people about their journey. And I wanted to kind of do videos or lives to kind of talk about the stages of grief that we all feel when we go through a medical diagnosis, whether it's breast cancer, any other type of cancer, or medical illness that is unexpected, unpredictable, and something that has a major impact on our lives and the lives of our loved ones. So I have done 2 lives already, and the lives have been focused on the stages of grief. My first live, I talked about the denial stage, and that's typically when you're first diagnosed, being able to just having a difficult time accepting the diagnosis and trying to avoid everything that comes with being diagnosed with cancer. The second week, I talked about anger and how that may present itself after a diagnosis, just being angry with the doctors, being angry if you're a spiritual person, being angry with God, or taking your anger and frustrations out on loved ones just because of the diagnosis, and having a difficult time navigating that part of your diagnosis. So today I wanted to have a conversation about the stage of bargaining and depression. And if you are joining me live, whether you're on TikTok or Instagram, if you are someone that has been diagnosed in remission, or a family member or a loved one, and you would like to join the conversation, definitely send me a request to join, and I'll be more than happy to add you on to kind of share your story as well. So like I said, I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year in 2024 at the age of 41. And since my diagnosis, things have been like my life has changed. I would say 100%. My health is not as good as it used to be. I am still undergoing infusions. I've had to have 3 surgeries, and I lost my job, and that comes with a whole lot of other things related to finances and being able to experience or being able to afford expenses to survive medications and treatment. So it's just been a lot that has been going on. But throughout this journey, I would say that having the support system that I have has been extremely helpful. And as it relates to the stages of grief, I think that each stage of grief I experience, and sometimes I may think I'm done with a stage, whether it's denial or anger, and I might find myself back at that stage at a later time, because there's always things that's coming up, and going through a cancer diagnosis and grieving the life that you had before is gonna have times when you're on an emotional roller coaster. So the bargaining stage of grief is pretty much when a person may try to bargain or have a lot of, well, what if I do this, or if I change this, maybe it'll change the outcome of my diagnosis. Or a lot of times people may use their faith and religion to pray and say, if I do this differently, or if I stop doing this, would that help change the course of the diagnosis and how the outcome may be. And when you're dealing with the bargaining stage, a lot of times you're questioning your past, thinking about the things you may have done in the past that contributed to the diagnosis, and feeling guilty or blaming yourself for the diagnosis that you have. I would say for me, there hasn't been a lot of focus on a bargaining stage, because I would say that I was a healthy person prior to my diagnosis. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I try to eat balanced meals, I work out, and I try to be mindful of everything that I do. So bargaining and thinking about the what ifs, I would say I didn't experience that as far as the bargaining stage go. I would say that a lot of my feelings now is kind of leaning towards the faith, doing everything that I can do in my power to be healthy, being more, I would say, intentional about what I eat, how often I exercise when I'm able to, and just having faith, where the saying is like, walk by sight and walk by faith and not by sight. So as a spiritual person, I do lean on that a lot to kind of get me through this journey, because I don't think without it I would be able to kind of navigate all of my feelings. Just having faith, understanding that everything happens for a reason. I would never be able to understand the reason why I was diagnosed. I do not have a history of breast cancer in my family, but with genetic testing, it showed that I do have a gene, a faulty gene, which put me at higher risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So again, doing everything that I can do to kind of stay healthy and to, again, lower the chances of a reoccurrence. So with that being said, one of the decisions that I had, or a few of the decisions that I had to make, was the course of treatment, surgeries, what I felt was necessary in order to get through this journey and not have to worry so much about any type of reoccurrence, even though, again, that's out of my control. So I was on chemotherapy and immunotherapy. I had a double mastectomy with reconstruction. And then I also chose to have my ovaries removed, just because with the genetic, the faulty gene, it did put me at higher risk for ovarian cancer. And it's unfortunate that ovarian cancer, there isn't anything or any type of testing that you can have to kind of monitor, and preventions that you can put into place so that you don't get it. So in order to alleviate the worry of that becoming an issue, I decided to have my ovaries and fallopian tubes removed. I am I am a mom. I do have two children, and it was a conversation that my husband and I had, and we're both at a stage where we're okay with not having kids. So that was something that we both felt would be the best course of action. as that far as that go. So when you are going through cancer, or when you are going through a health condition that is unexpected and kind of turn things upside down, like some of the unhealthy coping skills, I would say, when it comes to dealing with your grief and your diagnosis would be, again, blaming yourself. There are things that are out of our control. And when you decide to blame yourself, that just puts an added stress and causes depression. And unfortunately, there are sometimes things that are out of our control. And that's not to say that there aren't some cancer diagnoses that could be a result of smoking or other habits that may be unhealthy, but typically people try to do everything that they can to be as healthy as possible, and we do not know what the future holds or what the future would bring. And blaming yourself, even if it is something that you could have done differently at the point of your diagnosis, there is nothing you can do at that point. So blaming yourself is definitely something unhealthy to do. And then avoiding treatment is definitely something that you don't want to do. It's always good to get a second opinion if you feel that you're not 100% confident in the medical team that you have. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel like you're given all of the information you need to make an informed decision. And if you are with a medical team or a medical provider and you feel like you're not being heard, or they're making all of these decisions for you, it is never a bad thing if you feel you want a second opinion, because a lot of the treatments and the surgeries are all life-changing. So before you do make a decision that's gonna change a big part of your life, you want to make sure that you have that treatment provider that you can talk to, and that they're giving you the pros and cons of every decision that you make. Luckily, I do have a great medical team. My doctor is never once medical team. My doctor is never once said, okay, this is what you're gonna do. It's always been a conversation about, this is what's recommended, these are your options, what would you like to do. And the first conversation that I had with my breast specialist and oncologist was about the chemotherapy medications and the immunotherapy medications, how long they're recommending I be on it, what that's going to look like, the side effects, symptoms, everything was discussed. And that was prior to even having a conversation about surgery and what kind of surgery I would have in the future. So I think that that was definitely helpful, because it allowed me to kind of process this one step at a time. Having so much information thrown at you definitely causes more worry and make it to where you're feeling overwhelmed. So the doctors that I had was really good with just helping me focus on taking things one step at a time, and not overloading me and my family with too much information, because every step depends on the step before it. How I responded to the chemotherapy and immunotherapy kind of determined what to do as it relates to surgery. And even after having surgery, still having to wait to see the pathology report to determine if I needed if I was going to need radiation treatments and all of that. So I think if I would have been told all of the things and the possible outcomes and whether it's a good or a bad outcome, I think I would have been overwhelmed. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a treatment team that is working with you and working side by side with you and guiding you and letting you know the pros and cons of everything and options so that you can make an informed decision. Because at the end of it all, it's going to be your life, and you're going to have to be the one that kind of live with the decisions that are made. So you want to make sure your treatment team is including you in that conversation, because it's a joint conversation to have. And then another thing when it comes to unhealthy coping skill would be just turn into substance use. A lot of times it's easy for substances to kind of impair you to where you're not even thinking about what the diagnosis means and how life is going to be, and you use it as a mechanism to numb yourself and numb your feelings. But unfortunately, that doesn't solve the problem. Your problems are going to still be there when you sober up, and delaying treatment when you're diagnosed with cancer can do more harm for you than good. So definitely being able to feel how you feel, talk to your supports, whether it's family or friends, and having conversations with the doctors and treatment teams, so that way you feel like all of your questions are answered and that you can kind of move forward with the next step. I would say that depression is a whole nother depression is a stage of grief, and it is also something that is not going to be consistent or persistent all the time. Persistent. Some days you may feel extremely sad, hopeless, struggling to kind of get out of bed, getting in the shower, seeing the positive in everyday life. And depression is a normal stage of grief, so it's not something to be ashamed of. You definitely want to be open and communicate with your doctors and with people that love you and are surrounded by you when you are feeling depressed. I know that for me, having a conversation with a doctor about how I was feeling or how I'm feeling on appointments, it was always a good thing. And they did talk about depression and anxiety, and express that if medications was needed to help me through this diagnosis and through this journey, that it is available to me if I felt like that was something that was necessary. And these conversations was had prior to me even bringing up depression and anxiety. So that was another positive thing about my treatment team, is that they stayed ahead of all of the things that is normal for people to feel. So that way I didn't have to feel worried or ashamed to bring it up to them. They definitely talked about these things in advance and let me know that it will be something that I can possibly feel, and if I do feel those things, to bring it to their attention and to have conversations with them. So that was a good thing. So signs of depression, emotional signs would be persistent sadness, loss of interest, feeling guilty, and feeling hopeless. Physical signs could be fatigue, sleep challenges, appetite shifts, unexplained pain. Some of the behavioral signs of depression would be social withdrawal, difficulty concentrating, neglecting responsibilities, increased substance use. And then also warning signs that you may need professional help is if you were having thoughts of hurting yourself, extreme hopelessness, and complete disengagement from life. Um, Depression. I did experience a period of depression. I think it was during a time when I could not do anything, where I just wasn't able to do anything on my own. And I think that that kind of affected me because I am an independent person. Like, I'm like to do things the way I like to do things. I like to keep my house clean the way I keep my house clean. I like to be able to get up and go and drive and move around. And I think that when I had the double mastectomy, I just wasn't able to do anything. Like, I needed help with showering, and I couldn't drive because I was on medications and I was in a lot of pain, and I couldn't get around and move around like I like to do. So that definitely affected how I felt, and it made me feel hopeless, and it made me feel like a burden. And that definitely takes a toll on you when you're used to being independent and now you can't do anything and you have to rely on other people. It makes it harder just thinking about just having to rely on other people. But when I started to feel depressed, I did speak up. I did let family know. I did let my husband know, my sister, and they were great support. I would say for me, talking about my emotions haven't been difficult, because prior to my diagnosis, like, I've worked as a case manager with adults that have mental illness. So I've always educated my clients and their family members on the importance of having these conversations. A lot of times people feel a certain way, whether they're sad or anxious, dealing with depression and or dealing with substance use. A lot of times people choose not to communicate these things to their loved ones, and that just makes the situation worse. So being in the field that I am, and I understand the importance of speaking up and reaching out for help when help is needed, because again, people aren't able to read your minds. And if you surround yourself with people that are supportive, when you communicate to them and let them know how you're feeling, a lot of times they will be able to kind of be the extra support you need during that time. And understanding that this diagnosis and this journey hasn't just affected me, just reminds me also that when you have family that is involved, they're also going through the stages of grief and not knowing what you need to help. I would say sometimes family members may want to give you space so that it's not always like them hovering over you and just making you feel like you can't do anything or reminding you that you're sick. So sometimes family members may choose to take a step back and kind of be a support, but not being overwhelming or overbearing. So when you reach out for help, I think that it kind of helps them also understand what you need at that given time. Like I said, I've always been an independent person. So being independent, my family, I'm sure, wanted to allow me to maintain that independence, not and that's why it was important for me to reach out for help, because I didn't want them to make me feel like I can't do anything. So they respected that, but I also needed to be mindful that when I did need help, in order for them to know and in order for them to step up, I had to speak out. So that was something that I had to do, and I think that is important to do. Support groups are also a good thing. They do have support groups, like virtual support groups on like different social media platforms, but I'm sure if you are in need of a support group, you can have a conversation with your treatment team, and they should be able to guide you in the path of finding a local support group, whether it's in person or remote. A lot of times, surrounding yourself or being involved in a group with other people who are going through the same things you're going through is a healthy way of navigating all of the things that you feel. A lot of times, people may have advice or suggestions that you probably didn't think of. You'll be able to relate and understand that you're not alone, and that other people are going through it, and you're able to go through it with them together. A support group that I joined was on social media, and it was helpful to me because going to treatments and getting my infusions, and looking around at some of the other people that were there also getting treatment, like I felt out of place because I was the youngest one there, and that definitely made me feel sad and made me question a lot about the diagnosis and why I am diagnosed. So joining the support groups just opened my eyes to seeing that there are so many other people who are diagnosed with cancer much younger than me. And I do know there are like families dealing with children that have cancer, and that definitely just hurts my heart. But being surrounded or interacting with other people who are young, and unfortunately some people who may want families and have they're not they don't have any children, and they have all of these difficult decisions to make when it comes to treatment and whether or not they can have kids in the future. So that kind of made me realize that although things were bad for me, like some people have it a lot worse than I have it. So there's always things can always be better, things can always be worse. So that kind of helped me kind of just accept where I am with things and not focus so much on like the oh poor me, just because I was the youngest person getting infusions when I went to oncology for my treatment. Sadness and depression are two different emotions to have. Depression is dealing with like feeling hopeless, like extreme hopelessness, where you're not getting out of bed, when you're not taking a shower, where you're isolating yourself from other people, where you're not doing the things that you used to enjoy doing, where you're not eating, or where you're eating too much, where you're not sleeping or you're sleeping too much, and you're feeling like you're ready to give up, and that would be like feelings of depression, just like the extreme end of things. And then you have sadness, where you're still getting up every day, you're taking a shower, you're engaging with family, you're getting out of the house when you can, you're going to your doctor's appointments, but you're still sad, you're still tearful, but you're fighting through it all and doing everything that you can every day that you're given a chance to be alive. Sadness, I would say, is something that I deal with more than depression. I'm not hopeless. I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of faith. I have trust in God, and that everything happens for a reason, and that I just have to continue to push forward, to fight for my life, to fight for my family. But like I said, I do get sad. Losing a job and being uncertain about what that's going to look like once I'm done with treatments and into the work field or workforce. Just worrying about what that's gonna look like when I get hired somewhere else. I am thankful that the job that I had is did offer to accept me back with the agency once I am done with treatment. However, I have made a decision that I will probably seek employment elsewhere. And I think that decision was a decision that I made because when you're going through a diagnosis, when you're going through cancer and you're struggling and you got so much going on, you're not yourself. I think that losing that job has made me feel negatively towards that company. And in hindsight, I do understand that a job needs to have a person in a position in order to maintain what they have going on. Clients that I've worked with needs a case manager. They need somebody in that position to make sure that they're good. But I think that also, like, to lose a job and to be terminated when you're at your lowest, it just kind of make me feel negatively towards that company. So I am going to decide to kind of seek employment elsewhere because there's always a worry. Like, what happens if there's a reoccurrence? Like, am I going to have to now worry about that company laying me off again? Once I'm done with treatment, once I'm done with infusions, I'm still gonna have appointments that I have to attend to. My oncologist said that I'll have appointments with her every 6 months for the next 5 years. The breast specialist said I'm gonna also have appointments with her every few months for a few years. And I just don't want to be at a place where I don't feel like me prioritizing my health is I don't want to be at a place where I feel like I have to choose between prioritizing my health and prioritizing the health of the clients that I support. I've always taught my clients and educated my clients on the importance of taking care of themselves, taking their medications, taking care of their mental health, taking care of their physical health, being available to them when they have appointments if they don't have transportation, helping them reach out and navigate resources and benefits and family members, and educating family members on how to be supportive. And it feels like when it's my time to kind of prioritize that, it wasn't something that I felt I received enough support with at work. So with that being said, I will be kind of exploring other opportunities, other employment opportunities once I am done with treatment. So thinking about employment definitely makes me sad. It makes me worried, just because having this experience, you know that any job at any moment can decide, okay, you got too much going on, so this isn't going to work for us. And I'm afraid to be back in that situation. And then also worrying about the economy and how things are. Like, at this moment, being unemployed, my husband is the primary breadwinner in the household. I'm under his insurance, but unfortunately he works with the Department of Education. So that's a worry that I'm constantly having, knowing that funding may be pulled. What happens? What if he gets laid off? What if we don't have insurance? Like, those are just constant things that I worry about, and it's unfortunate, but it's just something, again, that faith has allowed me to kind of just go with the flow and know that when things happen, it's for a reason, and that everything that I'm going through, I'm able to get through it as long as I keep pushing forward and continuing to allow God to just following his plan that he has for me. I would say that sadness is probably gonna always be there. Again, I'm every day I get up, I make sure I am engaging in life and doing everything that makes me happy, being present for my kids, being present for my family. Those are all things that I find joy in. And during this time, like, I've been able to take my daughter to the school bus every morning. I haven't done that since she's been in school, just because my work schedule is always hectic. So being able to be a mom has given me strength, and that's something that definitely keeps a smile on my face. I know my daughter and my son loves that I'm home. even though even though I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, they're happy to have mom home, so that definitely puts a smile on my face. But sadness, like I said, is something that is normal to feel. I did have an appointment with my oncologist during the week. What day was that? On Wednesday. And my oncologist told me when I'm going to be done with my infusions, which is going to be the end of next month. So that was definitely exciting news to have. And she asked me, what am I going to do to celebrate? And in the mix of everything that's going on, the last thing I thought about was like celebrating. So I called my family, spoke to my husband, and we're definitely gonna do something to kind of celebrate that milestone, because it is something to celebrate. But then again, life continues to happen, and then it brings me to feeling sad about something. And even though I'm excited for the end of everything, getting my port out and not having to worry about infusions, I was watching a movie, the movie Stepmom, which is a movie that I enjoyed watching, with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon. And that just, again, made me feel sad. So if you haven't watched the movie Stepmom, it's about a family, mother and a husband. They have two kids. Susan Sarandon is the ex-wife. Julia Roberts is the new girlfriend, and they're just trying to navigate dealing with life. Mom getting used to her ex-husband being in a relationship, the kids being able to navigate having a stepmom and having a mom. The mom is still a little salty about the new relationship, and the kids are kind of in the middle, as well as the ex-husband. But I've always enjoyed that movie, but then when I watched it the other day, it just made me feel sad, because I forgot in the movie Susan Sarandon winded up having to go to the doctor. She had cancer in the past, and after getting testing, it showed that her cancer returned. So that just, I don't know, makes me feel sad. Knowing that I can, knowing that everything I'm doing is to get rid of cancer. The pathology report was good. Surgery was done. Everything, having my ovaries removed, so that way it's not something that I have to deal with in the past. But there's no guarantees. And when I think about that, it definitely makes me sad, because I don't want to imagine having to go to a follow-up appointment and then something is seen, and just the worry is a constant worry. A lot of times people say, even when you're done with cancer treatment, it doesn't mean that life goes back to normal. And I think after watching that movie, it kind of resonated and made me understand that statement. Because there's always going to be a worry or thought in the back of my head or back of my mind that when I'm not feeling well or when something seems off, like it's gonna always be that worry about, has it come back, has it spread, and that is not something easy to live with. But unfortunately, we have to. So dealing with depression, you want to make sure that you're asking for help when you need it, reaching out to family when you need to, not being hard on yourself, knowing that everybody's emotions is different. You may come across someone who has a cancer diagnosis and they may seem like they're handling it way better than you, and there's no right or wrong way to handle it. You are allowed to feel how you feel, and sometimes you need to sit in that feeling, and that's okay. And it's important for you to understand that your feelings are normal. And as a family member, I would say that if you are a family member and you have someone that has a diagnosis, a cancer diagnosis, if you are a part of that person's support team, I would say that reaching out to them to check in on them is always a good thing. Asking them if there's anything that they need, offering to take them out if you're able to get them out of the house, and not being offended if you offer and they decline, because sometimes they may just not feel in the mood, but that shouldn't stop you from offering again in the future. I don't know how many times my sister called and said, hey, you want to come with me here, or let's go do this, and I'll be like, I don't feel like it today. But that didn't stop her from reaching out and asking me to do things with her. And I think that was important, because as family members, it may be easy to be offended or take things personally, but you got to understand that it's hard, and everybody processes things differently. And the things that you feel you would need in the situation doesn't necessarily mean that your loved one needs the same thing. Everybody is different. Everybody processes feelings differently. I would say that I'm an introvert. I like to be home, and other family members may prefer being out a lot. So you just want to make sure you're asking your loved ones exactly how you can help, and trying your best to be that support. And like I said, just calling and checking in on them, sending them a text if you don't call. Even if it's a text, to just say, hey, good morning, thinking about you, I hope you're well. Like that definitely helps. Makes us feel better. And just doing whatever you can to be that support. Another thing that is helpful is if you're available, like joining your loved one on an appointment. Being on appointments with people that care about you helps. It also gives them an opportunity to ask questions, because you may not think about a lot of the things that are being talked about on your appointments, and you may not remember questions you have, or you may have a difficult time understanding what the doctor is saying, and having that person with you allows them to ask questions and jot down things the doctors are saying, and that's always a big help. So yeah. So any questions, concerns, not questions or concerns, but if there's anyone who wants to add to this conversation, I would love to answer questions you may have, add you to the conversation if you put in a request. You can even type a question if you have a question or a comment. I'm always open and hoping that I will have some participants join the conversation, because like I said, everybody's journey is different. Everybody navigates this diagnosis differently. Family members may have some helpful pointers they may want to add to the conversation. So definitely send me a request if you are interested in joining. And I am on TikTok and Instagram. And I would love for someone to join or type a question if you have one. Let's see. See if I have somebody. Hello? I think I have somebody on Instagram trying to join. Hold on one second. Can you hear me? Are you there? I see you. I see you have your camera on, but I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? All right, I'm going to give this person time to see if they're able to connect their volume. Oh, man. So, like I said, I'm on live, and I'm on live on TikTok and Instagram. So I do have someone trying to join, and I don't think that they're gonna be able to get through. But like I said, I'll let them try. Anybody on TikTok have any questions, comments, insight? All right, what is this? So I am still learning how to navigate this live system on TikTok and on Instagram. And all right, so the person on Instagram is unable to connect, and that person on Instagram, it was my mom. Gotta love her. She is not able to connect. And I also have my sister live on Instagram, and she's just putting out the laughing emojis because my mom is having a hard time getting on. Gotta love my family. And as a host, I do not even know how to end the call. So my mom is just hanging out with us until this is done. So, but yeah, so I hope that everyone that joined my conversation on TikTok and Instagram, I'd like to thank you guys, and I hope that just this live was insightful in some way or another. My plan is to go live again next week, next Saturday at 8. and talk about the last stage of grief, which is acceptance. Like I said, the five stages of grief is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Those stages of grief are, everybody doesn't experience every stage, and every stage is not like you go through it numerically. Every stage is, like, you may go through the denial stage, hit the depression stage, go to the anger stage, deal with the bargaining stage, get to acceptance, and then wind up back in the grief or denial. So it is no right or wrong way to grieve. So definitely be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. Know that you're not in this alone. This is something, there is a community of people out there that knows how you're feeling. They know they know how you're feeling, and sometimes it's just reaching out to that community to help you navigate and get through it is something that has been helpful. Being open and honest with your loved ones, with your doctors, with your treatment team, reaching out for help when you need it, communicating with your doctors and your treatment team if you need help, if you want to talk to somebody, if you want to get connected with a therapist, a one-on-one, or a support group. Always feel like, never feel like doing that means that you're a weak person. It's always a positive thing. Being able to talk about how you're feeling and reaching out for help is definitely important. Being diagnosed with cancer, regardless of your age and your health condition prior to the diagnosis, is definitely devastating, and it's not easy to navigate on your own. So if you don't have the support of family or friends, there is always a support group that I'm sure will be more than happy to welcome you as a part of the family to help you navigate this journey. There are resources, if you have a nurse navigator, resources that are available to help you. We've had to utilize resources that helps with some expenses like utility bills or electric bills. They have some resources where you can get housekeeping if you need help, because you're not able to clean a house. So there are so many different kind of resources. They have some where there's meals available where you can get meal delivery to you. So if you are navigating and doing this on your own, there are resources that can help you to make things a little bit easier. So communicate with your nurse navigator, connect with a support group, ask for help when you need it, ask about the resources that you need. Don't be ashamed to let someone know that you're struggling financially, or you can't afford your medications, or you can't afford your medical bills, or you have a disconnection notice because your utility bills or your electric bill haven't been paid, or your rent is behind. Like, it's nothing to feel shameful about when those things happen, because being diagnosed with cancer and having to navigate the side effects and not being able to do the things that you once were able to do is out of your control. So asking for help makes things a little bit more easier. It makes it a little easier. It's not going to be an easy journey, but every bit of help that's available to you eases things just a little bit more. So always reach out and ask for help. On my page, I do try to put information on resources that I come across. If you are joining me live on TikTok or Instagram, and if we are friends and you have any questions, always feel free to kind of send me a message, and if I have an answer or if I have a resource, I will be more than happy to share it with you, because again, we're in this together. This is not something that you have to navigate on your own, and you should never feel like you have to navigate on your own. So Like I said, next week I will be joining or having a live. If you would like to be a part of it, please send me a message so that I know to add you to it next week. I enjoy an interactive conversation where other people are kind of talking about their experience and being able to kind of have a conversation to give as many different outlooks on this journey as possible. So I would like to thank you guys for joining my live, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. And if you are joining me live on TikTok, I am planning on doing a live. I'm thinking either Monday or Tuesday. I have to check to see what the weather is going to be like. But I'm going to be doing a live on Monday or Tuesday. And my goal is to take you guys on a trip with me to the grocery store. I am going to be picking up ingredients to make a healthy shake. I have been working on recipes on a book that I have, and it's recipes that are for people who are going through cancer, being able to eat healthier, live a healthier lifestyle, and it has so many different recipes in there. So I wanted to do one of the recipes live on TikTok. So I'll be going to the grocery store on Monday or Tuesday, like I said, depending on the weather, picking up the ingredients, and then I will be doing a live probably the day after, where we actually make the shake, a healthy shake. So if you are on TikTok, definitely stay tuned. I will be sure to update the day and time I plan to do that. My update will probably be in my comment section where you have like the thoughts, to let you know that I'm planning on doing a live and going shopping. So I hope you guys will join me. And I would like to thank you guys on Instagram for joining my live. And if you are on TikTok, if you're on Instagram now but have a TikTok account, definitely follow me if you're not already following me so that you could be part of my shopping and milkshake prep. So I hope everybody have a wonderful Saturday evening. Take care, be safe, and all love. Bye.